Welcome to this Introduction to vSphere 6.0 course. I'd just like to take a few minutes and go through some of the topics that we'll be covering in this course. We'll start off by taking a look at the different components that makes up the vSphere infrastructure. Here we'll discuss things like the hypervisor, the two options we have for the vCenter server. This would be the Windows-based installation and also the SUSE Linux vCenter server appliance. We'll discuss our two management client options. This would be the standard vSphere Windows client and the new vSphere web client. We'll also discuss a bit about storage and networking. For installation types, here we'll cover theoretically the interactive, the scripted, and the auto-deploy installation types for ESXi, as well as doing a demonstration for the interactive installation of ESXi. After we finish our installation of that, we'll go through some basic setup through the DCUI or the Direct Console User Interface for ESXi. We'll cover some basic configurations like the management network configuration, management of our interfaces. We'll configure some DNS server settings, lockdown mode settings, and a few others. Then we'll move on to discussing the different versions for our vCenter server. We'll talk a little bit about that before moving on to an installation of our vCenter server. Actually, we'll demonstrate installation for both the vCenter server appliance and the Windows-based installation, although we would be using the Windows-based installation mostly. We'll go through some basic configuration of our vCenter server after that. Things like creation of objects within our console. Excuse me. We'll discuss creation of data center objects and adding our ESXi host into our infrastructure. After that, we'll do a discussion on vSphere standard switches. We'll discuss the basic of vSwitches. We'll talk about port groups, VM kernel port group. We'll discuss uplinks. We'll discuss VNIX. We'll discuss link aggregation. We will keep the discussion to vSphere standard switches and leave vSphere distributed switches for the advanced course. We'll also talk a little bit about storage. We'll discuss virtual disk types, data store, some basics of data store. We'll also talk about raw device mappings. And we'll do some demonstration on these two, creation of some data stores. Yeah, so that's about that with storage. For our virtual machines, we'll discuss the different file types that we have. We'll discuss creation of our virtual machines, discuss a bit about the hardware, the different VM options, and then we'll go into demonstration on a couple of these. We'll also go through some discussion on the VM tools and also a demonstration on the installation of that. Then coming down to the end of this course, we'll start discussing vApps. We'll cover things like vApp startup and shutdown order and some other vApp settings. We'll discuss cloning, and we'll also do a demonstration on some cloning operations for our VMs. We'll discuss and demonstrate some stuff on templates, different templates operation, as well as creation and deployment of OVF templates and appliances. We'll take a look at snapshots. Here, we'll discuss snapshots and working with them with a snapshot manager. And then finally, we'll finish off this course with a discussion on content libraries. Here we'll discuss the need for content libraries and the different types of content libraries that we have.